Today I'm going to show you why and how I made the greatest sports documentary of all time. You don't believe me? You think I'm bullshit? Well, buckle up. I dare you to prove me wrong. Next week, we'll be dropping my new film, The Spoils, Selling the Future of American Basketball, right here on this channel. So smash that subscribe button and find out for yourself. I promise it's worth your time, and you'll be glad you did. Now look, the modern sports documentary landscape has regrettably collapsed into one giant cesspool of athlete-produced, hero-worshipping, brand management slop. I wish it weren't the case, but so it be. With rare exceptions. And The Last Dance was dope, but I mean, come on, it's MJ. The streaming era sports doc landscape has regrettably deteriorated into one big circle jerk of writing. It's a never-ending blitzkrieg of carefully curated, glorified mythology, masquerading as the real story. But in reality, these films are nothing more than self-serving commercials for your favorite athlete's brand. Perfectly polished fairy tales about how they won their championships. Cool story, bro. I don't know about you, but I want something more substantial from my films. You can call me crazy, but I think documentaries should be searching for something new. Locating the raw humanity inside our shared experience of being alive. Truly meaningful documentaries can leverage the power of cinema to tell real-life stories as they happen, from an objective point of view. And then, hopefully, map those stories onto a broader cultural significance. And I'm here to tell you, The Spoils delivers on everything you could possibly want from a sports doc. You don't believe me? Let's run it down. You want an all-star cast? Check. The Spoils profiles the AAU to NBA journeys of lottery picks and all-stars like Evan Mobley, Onyeka Okongwu, Johnny Juzang, Jalen Clark, Dalen Terry, and the next generation of five-star phenoms like Koa Pete, Mikey Williams, and Andrei Stojakovic. You want stars? We got them. What else you want? Expert commentary? Check. The Spoils features profound insights from insiders and executives like Jade Billis, Sonny Vaccaro, Howard Beck, Wosny Lambre, Ethan Strauss. Honestly, too many to name right now. But trust me, they bring the heat. Now what else? Critical acclaim? We got that. None other than the documentary GOAT himself, Ken Burns, stamped The Spoils on its premiere, recommending it for everyone who loves the game and is concerned about the future of the sport. And the cosigns don't end there. Chris Broussard, the New York Times, the NBA Players Association, Boardroom, Joe Pomp, Sports Illustrated. And The Spoils was an official selection at the NBA Summer League Film Festival. So, you're in good hands with this movie. How about access and relevance? That's a big check. No film has ever accessed the inner workings of the American basketball factory like The Spoils. It has no rival, it has no peer, there has never been a film like this. And if you love the NBA, I've got news for you. NBA basketball is AAU basketball. The game you love is born right here. And The Spoils is the definitive NBA culture origin story. Now, I could keep running my mouth, but the trailer says it all. Here it is.
So how do you see this deal coming together?
Hey, we got this money over here, we got this money over here. I mean, you're talking NBA money. Our brand, Compton Magic, we're the best AAU team in the world, undisputed. Everyone has their own individual brand. We get that. So make this machine work for you. Who are you gonna trust to navigate you through the space? Someone who's never done it? Our guy that's been doing it. If you're good in our program, you're going to the NBA.
Agents and shoe companies, these people want access to these kids. AAU is able to fill the void.
But the cold hard truth is that they are treated as commodities. They are treated as assets.
The indoctrination begins very early. They're learning, how do I be professional? What's good for the brand, what's not? How do I operate?
AAU basketball and NBA, they are one and the same. It's pure capitalism.
People are trying to get their hands on these kids to start controlling them, and they are making people millions.
The signature shoe is the individual. That's what we're selling, ladies and gentlemen.
I want 8.5 million.
If someone hits, they'll make me $1 million.
I mean, it's a street game. I mean, it's really one step away from the dope game. You're not a kid. You're already a professional. We're involved at every level of this thing, all the way from the bottom to the top.
Here's the funny thing about capitalism in sports. There are no rules, but you break them at your peril.
Making this film was impossible. It consumed a full decade of my life. It began as a TV series adaptation of my first film, was very nearly greenlit by CBS Sports before the pandemic, before finally becoming the badass independent film it was always meant to be. Looking back, I should have known that the raw access of this film would make it too controversial for any TV network to touch. But the raw access is the spoil's defining quality. It's what sets it apart. And that's before we even get to the time span it covers. I spent 11 years directing The Spoils, which just so happened to be the most transformational decade in the history of American basketball. There's never been anything like this film, and I honestly can't imagine it ever happening again. Primarily because in today's documentary world, the price for this type of access is handing over Final Cut of the film. And as a footnote to that, nobody in their right mind would ever grant the access that we were given ever again. And so, before we give you guys a sneak peek behind the scenes of making The Spoils, a quick note to anybody who would dismiss or marginalize The Spoils as just an AAU story. Watch the movie. It's so much bigger than that. The Spoils is a portrait of the American basketball system, from the bottom all the way to the very top. It has more to say about the NBA and the state of American basketball as a whole than the NBA or its broadcast partners will ever greenlight, which is precisely why this film is such a foundational entry into the sports doc genre, and why you absolutely need to see it. So with that, here's a peek behind the scenes at the making of The Spoils. Growing up playing AAU basketball in LA, I always had this instinct that there was so much more going on than any teenager could possibly understand.
And when I became a filmmaker, I was compelled to revisit this world that not only shaped my own life, but I believe informs everything about today's NBA culture.
I met Tope in 2012 when I was directing my first film, At All Costs, which was a feature documentary that unraveled life inside AAU basketball, and where At All Costs focused in on the players. Truthfully, I was always far more interested in the adults in the room, the power brokers moving the pieces around the chessboard.
And so, a story about the system and its values, but really the incentives that drive the business. That became my vision for The Spoils.
In early 2019, the Compton Magic were the undisputed national champions. Their roster was stacked, and I mean stacked, with future pros and multiple lottery picks at nearly every position. Coming off that summer championship, Tope was approached by the Puma shoe brand through a runner for Jay-Z's Roc Nation Sports Agency in a bid to lure the Magic away from their longtime corporate sponsor, Adidas. There was just one problem. Puma didn't have a circuit, so if the Magic were gonna have anybody to play against, Tope was gonna have to build the league from scratch. So I sat down with Tope and I said, dude, this is a golden opportunity to make a show that blows the doors open on how the business of basketball really operates.
Scene one, take one.
Scene one, take one.
That's right.
That shit was dope.
I'd envisioned it as sort of a Hard Knocks meets The Wire, because from the street corners all the way to the corner suite, all the pieces matter.
The biggest challenge was always the access. My goal was to make a film with truly radical access to the deals that shape this business.
So I asked Tope if he was comfortable with me covering the negotiations. Being in some of the rooms I probably wasn't supposed to be in, and he said yes. We understood that was a little risky, but it was worth the squeeze.
Honestly, I was shocked by how plainly the meta themes of our film played out in that Puma meeting. To be in that room, all the cards were on the table.
As a filmmaker, this was everything that I wanted. But I'm sitting next to him thinking, there's really only one point this man has to make, and that is, I have the talent.
and I have the relationships, then you want the access. And for these kids in this world, I am the gatekeeper. It's really that simple. The sport has changed so much over the last 10 years. More than anything, I just wanted to tell the truth about the game and where it's going.
So there it is. We'll be dropping the film next week, so make sure you subscribe to the channel, because The Spoils is the real deal. Hoop Dreams is the forever GOAT, but let's be honest. It's 30 years old and in desperate need of an upgrade. A remix. And that's why we're here. My favorite thing about Hoop Dreams is that it's a basketball movie that's not really about basketball. It's about Chicago, neighborhoods, and families. And that's where The Spoils and Hoop Dreams are aligned. They're both basketball movies that are not really about basketball. And The Spoils is principally about the business of basketball and how it's become the game. And look, I wish there was a precedent for The Spoils. It would have made my job a lot easier. I scoured film and documentary history for references, if for no other reason than looking for something to take cues from. But there simply were none. So instead, my inspiration and references for The Spoils were documentaries like Enron, The Smartest Guys in the Room, and Citizen4, Laura Poitras's Academy Award-winning profile of Edward Snowden. Even a scripted film like Michael Clayton. These are corporate espionage thrillers, and they were my inspiration. The Spoils is special because it's not simply problem identification. Anybody or any film can complain or identify the problems in a system. It's another endeavor entirely to propose radical solutions that will improve that system. And that's what The Spoils does. And that's what we're here to do. On this channel and in my films, make the things that we love better. So, you might be asking, what are those solutions? Well, you're gonna have to watch the film for yourself. So, subscribe to the channel, strap in next week, and thank me later. Until then, I'm Nicoll. I appreciate the time. I'll see you soon.